Hey everyone, welcome to Uncomplicate by Freshworks, where we answer one question every day with one expert. Today I have Lynn Hunaskar, who's here to talk about a pretty interesting topic. But before that, welcome to Uncomplicate, Lynn.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Lynn Hunsaker.
Yes. So Lynn is, is the chief customer officer, and being in the leadership position, she knows a thing or two about metrics and what to be communicated and stuff like that. And especially if you're in a customer-facing team, like let's say a customer success or a customer support, how do you communicate those metrics and what do you measure? So Lynn is, precisely here to answer that question. So Lynn, why don't you take it from
Yes.
me?
One of my friends shared with me the metrics that he shows to the senior leadership team every Friday. And I said, well, how much does your presentation change? He says, well, it's usually the same metrics. The numbers change a little bit, but it's kind of the same most of the time. And I said, well, it seems to me that what you really want to do is get some action to be taken on those metrics so they can improve. And one of the points of sharing with your senior leadership team is to help them to remove some roadblocks and to engage some employees to actually make those improvements. And so I suggested, how about quantifying how much revenue is represented by those customers and those issues that they're bringing up. And another thing is, if you could also calculate how much hours of your agents and managers' time is being taken on these particular chronic issues.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing some quick math, it didn't have to be exact, but to give a general idea,
Mm-hmm.
it was much more compelling to show a percentage of customers at risk of churning, a percentage of revenue and costs that were, really going the wrong way for the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you can quantify things in figures of currency, it makes a lot more sense to executives and can stimulate them to move out of inaction to being your ally and to rechanneling those. I also suggested that he referred to this as customer experience annuities.
Mm-hmm.
Annuities is a concept in finance where you have a certain fund of money and the interest of it is a gift that keeps on giving. So you can pretty much have a fund and then live off the interest, that type of thing. And so I think of customer experience annuities kind of similar to that, but ideally, if we can prevent recurrence of thorny issues that are bothering our customers, particularly those things that are caused by us as a company, rather than by the customer themselves with some kind of, order change, a change in their address, a change in, the weather, things that are out of our control. But things that are within our control, we should try to prevent recurrence of those things and thereby restream those funds that would forever be in perpetuity dedicated to those chronic issues, rechannel them to something of greater value.
Got it. So if I'm getting this right, in terms of communicating metrics, especially if you're in support, it's going to be more about, hey, how do I quantify every effort that I, kind of do, or every process that I automate? Because everything that you do, be it in terms of churn or be it in terms of upsell or cross-sell, everything has an impact on the revenue, and it's all about how do you quantify that to a greater revenue impact. That's
right. Revenue or cost. I think in customer experience, our initial opportunity is in cost redirection. So we have a certain amount of agents and resources tied up really in addressing perpetual issues that nobody's really worrying about because it seems like it's in a safe zone. We need to stimulate our executives and managers to think that this isn't a safe zone and to see the actual damage being done to the brand and to the resources so that they can remove those issues, prevent them from occurring in the first place as much as possible, and allow your people, your agents and so forth to be more proactive with other things to customers and add more value.
Got it. I think that was, a very valuable insight to say the least, especially for first-time managers who are listening in. Thank you for joining us for today's Uncomplicated Lynn. I'm sorry about that. It was a pleasure hosting you.
My pleasure too. Thanks, Praveen.
Yeah.